Hey everyone, TG Watkins here with Simpler Trading. You can find me over at my particular website, profitpilot.com. It's profit-pilot.com. And today is your daily five. So let's get into it. So the first stock I wanted to go through is actually the index. It's going to be the S&P. And part of what I wanted to be talking about were that there are some Fibonacci levels that we're looking at. You can see this is the 16.8% fib. This is actually from the peak of the market back, was it March or something? And then the absolute low of the COVID low. And you put those Fibonacci's on, and we're up here at the 618 extension. And you can see that at least yesterday we ran right smack into it and got rejected. Now we did do a little bit of a pullback, and amazingly today we are actually up here over it. So I'm looking at this as basically we're kind of dancing around resistance. We're starting to kind of bounce around a little bit. So I am getting a little bit cautious up here. I'm not so much sure how much more energy this thing has, partly because I'm also seeing that price is just outside of that third ATR. And so it makes me a little bit hesitant to really think that there's too much more meat on the bone. Now, the really, really particular thing as far as the Moxie indicator goes, that's also been having me kind of, very cautious about this market is if I look here at the 15-minute time frame with the 15-minute Moxie. Now, this is something I haven't seen in a long time, and I am absolutely astonished that the market is pushing up the way it is because the Moxie indicator here is living, it's existing underneath the zero line, meaning this is a negative space, and yet we see price just keep pushing. This is really, really quite odd. And even from this point to this point on the 15, you can see the price never touched the 15-minute 50. So a lot of times when you look at that, price should not just be floating off a moving average. It usually likes to touch or bounce along a moving average. So when there's an air pocket between price and a moving average, it usually is pretty unstable. And that's why yesterday when I saw price actually start to come down, I was like, okay, good. We're starting to get that pullback. This all makes sense. The 15-minute Moxie indicator has been negative for several days. We're coming up here to that 618. We are also, look at this. We haven't even touched the hourly 50 for 2 weeks now at this point. Just everything I see on this chart just tells me everything's extended. And yet the crazy part is we're up here today. So I'm kind of looking at that. It has me really nervous. I'm not going to be buying anything other than the day trade to be going up there, at least related to the S&P, because that just doesn't make sense for it to be up there. So that's something that has been concerning me. And one way to look at it is through another stock. And so I then switch over to Amazon, which is going to be a little bit, more like the NASDAQ, of course, because that's what it's going to be in. But it was a good example of what I wanted to see as far as okay, this is overbought, and I want to see a pullback. And what we can see here is just like the S&P and the NASDAQ too, and just kind of a different configuration. But we are up here outside of that third ATR on the daily chart, which tells me it's extremely overbought. In fact, you can see right here, the previous day it was just up there and it had a hammer as far as a candle. And then we could look here, look at the 15-minute price moving up and up and up and up, and notice that the Moxie indicator kept going down, down, down. That's telling me that we're going higher on less and less energy. That is how I use the Moxie indicator to help me with timing and to tell me when things are really starting to run out of energy, because when Amazon did finally break, where was the Moxie indicator? It was pretty nice and tight between the two lines and at zero. That's a good timing mechanism to tell you, hey, watch out. And then you can see here, like I mentioned on the S&P, Amazon had not touched the hourly 50 for many, many, many days. And so that gap between price and the 50, at some point, it was going to have to be filled because that's unstable. It's unsupported. It's just basically floating up in midair. And so you can see it finally broke the 15-minute 50 and headed back down to the hourly 50 and the 15-minute 200. Now, this is why I don't that's why I don't try and short things that are going in a pullback, because today it actually bounced off of the hourly 50 and it's up here someplace. That's okay, that's fine. Maybe the next thing, that if this is going to keep working its way down, the next thing is maybe a bounce and then a rollover, or we could just kind of get some flagging. So basically what I'm looking at is when it gets up here and it gets up here and I see these indications like this, I know that I don't want to either be long or I don't want to be initiating. And then once it pulls back, look, I'm not going to try and short it. I'm just going to let it do its thing until I see the next opportunity to go long. Then we come over here to the IWM, and this one's been a little bit more finicky. In fact, you can see it really hasn't done anything while the NASDAQ and the S&P have been moving up. However, what I am seeing is that this should be some support. I see that the Moxie indicator is up and it is hanging around 0. And so it wasn't rolling over, it wasn't going negative, and price was just kind of bouncing around. And then if we look a little bit lower on the 15, we can see we had lower price, but the Moxie indicator actually had divergence to the upside. Now we just kind of wait for clues and signals. And yesterday we got that. We got price jumping up and looking pretty good. And it actually did it on volume. Great. Now I'm an end of day trader. I like to wait until the end of the day to see what happens. And this is exactly why, because the morning shot right up, right up to that third ATR and jumped off that moving average and jumped off that moving average, all that kind of stuff. And so I waited for the end of the day. And by the end of the day, it came back down to an uptrending 15-minute 50. The Moxie indicator is above 0. We got our Moxie price trigger firing again, and we have price right here at the hourly 50. So at least as far as this setup goes, that should be a buy. Now today, the IWM is kind of hanging out, not really doing too much, so it hasn't fallen apart yet. And at least this is what I look for my everyday typical, this is what I teach kind of entry. And beyond that, it's just a matter of what does the next day do and what is the market going to do. So here's an example of a trade that I took. And again, it's kind of weird out there. And that was, I definitely started with the saying that names are just kind of all over the place the last few weeks. And Futu, we should be looking at this. Number one, this is a trampoline move when price is below the 50, but the Moxie indicator is above 0. That's a high pressure, high buoyancy type trade. And we got our first move like that. Well, again, I wait for a pullback. And I've been looking for kind of a pullback in through here someplace, but I couldn't quite get anything on the 15-minute because nothing was holding, the 15-minute 50, just nothing was holding. And the Moxie indicators were looking kind of messy too. And so yesterday, you can see here that we got a move up and then it pulled back right into the 15-minute 50. The Moxie indicators were up. You can see here right into the hourly 50, the Moxie indicator was up, and we just bounced off of the daily 50. So all of this should be a good buy. Now today I see that this thing is actually down a little bit, and I'm willing to give it a little bit of room just in case it wants to kind of chop around here before going up. But if it chops around and does this and then starts going down, we got to cut it. So this is kind of what I'm looking at, is at least I can say this is what I need in order to have that setup. We can go in and then we're just going to have to see what the next couple of days do, whether it works out or not. Now, part of the reason why I was looking around and thinking, okay, maybe like why did the IWM, the small caps, actually start popping? Why did they have a good day the other day when the S&P and the NASDAQ are pretty much at their highs? And I looked around, I kind of was thinking, okay, maybe it had something to do with the interest rates, because I believe that the TNX going up like this is what really quashed the run in the IWM. And so with that, I'm looking at this saying, hey, this looks like, this is like what I was trying to say with the S&P and Amazon, that they just gotten really, really overbought, very extended, very up here. And let's see them start to flag and pull back. And this is what I'm starting to see perhaps with the S&P, with Amazon, perhaps the NASDAQ, all that kind of stuff. And then right here, I saw price get rejected by the underside of the hourly 50. And you can see that the Moxie indicator has been below 0 the whole time. So here's your positive or price going up, negative divergence on the Moxie telling me, hey, this thing's going to start running out of upward momentum. Then we get our inverse trampoline move, and then you can see that the Moxie indicator continues to trend down and price got rejected by the 50. And today the TNX is down. So I was expecting this to give a little bit of a reprieve for the market and actually get the small caps up and moving. So far, it seems to be a bit of a mixed bag. But as far as these things, this is kind of the interplay of the various stocks that I'm looking at. So appreciate you guys taking a few minutes out of your day and come and check me out here at the Daily 5. If you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about me, come over here. We do have a specific link for StockChart members and people who are watching this video. So come over here to the bit.ly link. And this is where you can check out my newsletters. I write one twice a week, and that way you can get a little bit more information about me. And if you guys want to see anything about the socials and kind of what I'm up to, we got Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you guys are interested in more of the actual services that I have, yeah, come check me out over here at simplertrading.com/stockcharts, so that we have a specific link for you all. You can check out the live trading. We do Q&A. We got the real-time alerts, all this kind of stuff, and just want to make sure that you guys are well taken care of. So thanks again. Do appreciate your time, and I'll see you in a few more weeks.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.